Hello and welcome to my video where I'm going to show you how to make some simple spirals out of twine, string or yarn. These are great for embellishing all sorts of craft projects or for using in gift wrapping. I'm personally going to use them to decorate some rustic pumpkins. All you're going to need is some twine, string or yarn, a disposable plastic cup, an old paintbrush, some PVA glue and water, baking or parchment paper, some cling film or plastic wrap, and some narrow items to mould the spirals around. In my case, I'm using knitting needles, although you could use some thin dowel or something similar. You first need to use some parchment or baking paper to protect your work surface. Then wrap the items that you're going to use to mould the spiral shapes with cling film. Then you need to dilute the PVA glue. I mixed approximately 1 part glue to 1 part water in my disposable plastic cup. The reason we dilute the glue is because it needs to be thin enough to soak into the twine, the string or the yarn. But you don't want to lose the properties of the glue. You should still be able to use your brush to paint white stripes inside the cup, like so. For the first spiral, I'm going to use some jute twine. So I guesstimate the length that I'm going to need, and then I put it into the cup. Make sure that the piece of twine is completely covered with the PVA glue mix, and then leave it to soak for a few minutes. And then all you need to do is fish the twine out of the cup, and then wrap it around your knitting needle or whatever else you're using. I chose a particularly awkward way to wrap this around my knitting needle, but I'll show you a better way in the next example. Once you've done that, set it down on the baking paper and leave it to dry. The next spiral I'm going to make is from yarn. The yarn weight is DK or double knit. You may notice that the yarn goes a little bit mushy, but don't worry about that, just start to wrap it around your knitting needle as you did before. I started wrapping in the middle of the needle and wrapped the yarn one way and then the other. I had quite a bit of leftover yarn, so I thought I'd just experiment and do some leaf outlines, just to see how they turned out. And lastly, I did the same for some white cotton string. I made some more PVA glue mix first, and then soaked the string for a few minutes. One note I want to make here is that you can't use any sort of plastic cord or string, the kind of thing you'd use for a clothesline, because that won't absorb the PVA glue or water. So you wrap the string around one way and then the other way, both times going from the centre outwards. And then you just leave those to completely dry. Okay, so now they're dry, we can remove the spirals from the knitting needles. The best way to do this is to just push them off the end. The spiral made from the yarn holds its shape pretty well and is quite springy, but it is a bit on the floppy side. The spiral made from the string looks nice, but has the least amount of springiness and it doesn't hold the shape as well as the other two. I think this is probably because it's quite dense compared to the others. And the best result of them all was a spiral made from twine. It's relatively stiff and also very springy and holds its shape the best out of all three examples. So overall, a variety of materials work well, but I would personally recommend the jute twine. I hope you find this simple technique useful, and thank you very much for watching.